Brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands. He hath founded it upon the seas.
Henry Mayothan Eden, 1850 through 1933. Henry Mayothan Eden was probably born in the 1850s. He was a respected leader in Georgetown. One of the prominent merchants of his day, he owned a good deal of property and was also part owner with Captain Livingston Anderson of the sloop Panama. The sloop was used to transport sand from the coast of Panama to Colon, where the Panama Canal was under construction. Henry and Captain Anderson would take turns commanding her every 6 months. For many years, he worked on the surveying ships that laid cable around the Caribbean. He was a manager of the Presbyterian Church of Georgetown during the early 1900s.
Songs Sweet as Spring. The 2023 Jubilate Orchestra and Choir in performance. The Harkwell Theatre, Wednesday, March 29, 5:30 p.m. A joint fundraising event by the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman and the Jubilate. Jubilate, inspiring young children in transition toward purpose and fulfillment through guidance. Reserve your ticket now through christianjvictory@gmail.com. Songs Sweet as Spring. Jubilate Orchestra and Choir, opening a universe of opportunity, supported by Rotary Central. Get your $50 ticket today. christianjvictory@gmail.com. All proceeds go to Rotary Club Grand Cayman and Jubilate. Help a child discover hidden talents. Jubilate and a Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Another terrific day as we invite you to be the part of our Talk Today discussions. And we have good friends and I feel like family from Health City as we tell you about some great things. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us as we invite you to share with us as we learn more about the new Radiation Oncology Center over at the Health City Cayman Islands. And joining me is the radiation oncologist, together with the acting operations manager over the Cancer Society, and a lady that you've seen almost everywhere, from the pages of the best magazines, from the fitness, to none other than Miss Rebecca Brooks. Well, as a nurse, right?
Yep.
It just shows you that a love for health and well-being, that ability to nurture, encourage, and inspire others can be in our careers as much as in our daily lives. And if the two passions align, they become incredible examples. So thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for having us. Yeah.
You know, as we look at the unfolding Cayman landscape with the people who come, live, work, and be a part of our community, the skill sets they bring, their love, their enthusiasm, we see not only the industriousness, but also the spirit of contribution, volunteering, and the like. And through you, as we, invite Dr. Vikas and also, shall I enter a discussion, as I asked her, would you be so kind? I mean, you are the head of sales and marketing. You are, without question, very eloquent and forthright. Do our introductions for us. Would you start with Dr. Vikas?
Sure, yes. So to my left, I have Ms. Charlene Blanchett. She's our acting operations manager for the Cayman Islands Cancer Society. Hi, Charlene.
Hi.
And we also have Dr. Vikas Roshan, who's our very experienced consultant radiation oncologist at Health City. So he's been on island about 3 months, originally from India, and he can give you a little bit of a brief into his background. But we're delighted to have him as part of our Health City family. And he is heading up our new radiation oncology centre, which we just opened last week.
And thank you very much for that, and Dr. Vikas, from that perspective. As I look at Cayman and where we are positioned on the map, the incredible access that we have from our shores to almost any country and anywhere in relatively short time, but immediately through the technology and infrastructure that we have, whether we leverage it for conference call, for government, for business, whether we use telemedicine or education, but to have people, as Ms. Rebecca shared, with your expertise and experience, physically present, it helps us to build a invaluable skill set, but B, perhaps inspire more of our students to be able to see someone maybe next door, friends or parents, perhaps at times the physician attending to a family member, and encourage us to pursue medicine or some of the other sciences. So as Ms. Rebecca was sharing, share with us who you are. And as you get into oncology and we talk about radiation and the importance of it, maybe even more specifically. But good afternoon to you.
So good afternoon. Thanks for having me here. So I am Dr. Vikas. I am a senior consultant radiation oncologist with Health City. And I started my journey way back in 2000 when I entered into a medical school. And after this medical school, I completed that in 2006. And from that moment onwards, I went into oncology work. So I did my residency from Sher-e Kashmir Institute of Medical Sciences, and I completed that with my senior residency in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. So from 2008, I am purely into oncology. So day and night we are working with the oncology patients and just living through their experiences, what they feel during this kind of treatment. And what we can do for those patients, I think that makes us as an oncologist. So I think from the last since 2008, so we're working very hard for these patients, and we are spending a lot of time in planning the treatment for those patients, and that's how the life moves on. Yes.
With that, understanding that medicine was your passion, that's what you want, but why oncology? I mean, of all the specialties, for you, if I may ask, why would you choose into oncology as a specialty?
So oncology, actually, it's a very challenging branch. So because during those days, a lot of things that were happening happened at that time, just to new evolvement in the technologies, and new treatments were being enrolled into the new guidelines. So I think at that time after completing this MBBS course, I think that fascinated me, because the treatment was not available actually. So only thing we are following those guidelines, and after those guidelines, what kind of outcome that we expected, I think that was not coming at that time. So initially we went into those things. We did some groundwork also there. We did some research work also there, and in the New Delhi Nord institutes. So after that guided us actually, and since this is a it needs a comprehensive treatment, and it involves multiple things like from medical oncology, surgical oncology. So I think that interactions with them and how to manage those patients, keeping in mind their social like you can say the health from which they were suffering at that point of time. I think that inspired me a lot.
And as we talk about the treatment, there are different things, there are different approaches, but radiation oncology in particular. Can you help us understand what that is? Explain that to us a little bit better, please.
So radiation is actually treating patients with the high energy X-rays and electrons, and these both options we have right now with us at Health City. So what we do actually with the radiation, we target DNA of the cell, and when we causes the break in the DNA, after that that cells doesn't divide anymore, and that leads to the death of that cell. But at the same time, we have to see, because the radiation cannot differentiate between the normal cell as well as the cancerous cell. So we have to make that kind of plan that works better in both the scenarios, so that we can save the normal cells, and at the same time we can hit the cancerous cell. So I think that kind of technology now we have at the hospital, and soon we are going to start with that.
So is it more targeted? And I'm thinking, as you share, maybe some of us have to have the image where there's a laser beam and it's very directed, as opposed to someone taking a bucket of water and tossed and it goes everywhere. So with the radiation, is it very targeted to that specific?
So there are actually multiple steps which are involved, but I'll in very simpler terms, I can say, suppose we'll do one CT scan, and in those CT, we just draw the tumors that we want to treat, and the other normal structures which are around, and we also draw those also, and then we try to give maximum dose to the tumorous tissue, and at the same time, we try to save the normal organs which are present in the nearby vicinity. So I think with that kind of technology is available now everywhere. So we are using that only. So what we have right now with us is a linear accelerator, and in that we can actually see where we are targeting, and so that we should not miss the tumor. And with that, I think consequently, if we miss the tumor, we can get some recurrence or maybe some tumor that is residual there. So I think that we can treat with this kind of.
When we come back from our break, maybe more of us may be familiar with chemotherapy versus radiation, and maybe you can talk to us the difference. But we also, after the break, talk specifically about state-of-the-art equipment that you have. And then, Ms. Rebecca, you can share with us some of the things how we can benefit, and then through the Cancer Society, the partnerships, perhaps help us to understand what you do, how you do it, and appreciate that this journey isn't one that we have to walk alone. I'm going to pause and take a break. When we return, we continue the discussion focusing on Health City, and in particular, their new Radiation Oncology Center. Hey, stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Holy partner.
Cayman, we had to do it again.
What a gallant.
Loud Productions alongside The Bay. The Bay Islands of Honduras official radio station present the return of the Bandan series from the Bay Islands of Honduras for the first time in Grand Cayman. It's Jensen. He's there. Jensen and the boy.
Now it's sorry to those brown eyes.
Jensen. Yes, sir. Hold your partner. It all kicks off on Friday, March 24th at Coral Isle in Cayman Brac. Then on Saturday, March 25th, Bandans arrives to Grand Cayman. Jensen and the boys performing live 8 p.m. sharp at the Mango Tree. Then on Wednesday, March 29th, Jensen and the boys performing live on the beach at Eastern Star Bar, 8 p.m. sharp. Get your tickets now at CaymanEvents.co, the Mango Tree, or at Coral Isle Club in Cayman Brac. For more information or VIP tables, dial 916-7667. All the way from Roatan, the Bay Islands, the Bandan Series returns. This time with Jensen and the boys.
The Department of Agriculture would like to advise the public that their offices will be closed promptly at 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, March 28th to facilitate a civil service-wide event. And on Wednesday, March 29th, the sales warehouse will be closed to accommodate their all-day training. Normal operating hours will resume on Thursday, March 30th. Continue to follow their Facebook page or Instagram page at Agriculture Cayman for more updates.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and thanks too for the opportunity to talk about the new Radiation Oncologist Center. We're speaking to the radiation oncologist, Dr. Vikas, and as we're going into the break, chemotherapy is probably the one I said many of us may be more familiar with. We hear about it and its availability here initially was more prevalent. But what's the difference between, say, a person undergoing chemo, and how is that different from someone who now would do radiation?
Okay, so I think that query can be answered well if we'll understand the staging of the malignancy. So there are different stages actually, stage 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So stage 1, when disease is confined to the particular part from where it is been arisen. Stage 2, when it's a bit advanced, maybe it's increased in size. And stage 3, when it is involving nearby lymph nodes. And stage 4, when it is already disseminated to the whole body. So that kind of stuff. So in the stage 1, 2, we need some kind of local treatment up to stage 3. So in those local treatments, it's likely we use surgery or radiation. So they are both actually local curative intention that we treat the patient with. And in stage 3, we take the help of chemotherapy just to radiosensitize the cells, and it enhances the effect of radiation actually. And in stage 4, when the disease is disseminated, we use chemotherapy. So chemotherapy is a kind of systemic treatment. So when given, it travels the whole body actually. And wherever it goes, it causes certain side effects. But radiation, on contrary, it localized treatment, and we can target it as per our vision well, because we draw tumors and then we direct the machine towards that thing just to give ablative kind of dose, so that we can just like in surgery we excise the tumor, and with radiation we just ablate the tumor. So it is why good? Because of painless and scalpel free. So I think this is so it's a localized kind of treatment as compared to chemotherapy, which is a systemic treatment.
And it can be like on the surface or internal and external to the body, radiation?
So radiation, yeah, actually we can divide it into external beam radiotherapy and brachytherapy. External beam, when we are giving energy from our distance, we are hitting the target from a certain distance with the means of X-ray or electrons. And brachytherapy is when we go inside the cavities, or we just implant the source directly near to the tumor, and it gives very higher dose to the tumor, and it is a perfectly conformal kind of thing. We can achieve the shape of the tumor with this brachytherapy. So right now we started with the linear accelerator, and this linear accelerator has a state-of-the-art machine with which we can treat tumors from head to toe depending upon what site it is, and we require the help of sometimes with the surgery as well as the chemotherapy. So chemotherapy just enhances the effect of radiation, and we'll get the very good response locally where we are going to treat. And with the help of brachytherapy, there are actually certain conditions where we use it, like suppose patient is already being treated and though there is a recurrence. So, and those situations we apply this kind of treatment, and sometimes in addition to external beam radiotherapy, just to achieve a very good higher dose there, we add brachytherapy. So there are certain things that we have to see actually before planning the management of cancer patients.
And as you consult with the patient, you determine what's best in that instance for the patient for the most positive outcome.
Yes.
Right.
So actually, there are different combinations.
Yeah.
As per patient's need, we can use those combinations just to get the best outcome for that patient.
Now, from the Cancer Society's perspective, we would see that many times, in absence of the prescribed treatment from a physician that is not available here, the patient has to travel elsewhere.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how does this sort of help what the Cancer Society's efforts?
Well, this is a breakthrough for our patients and patients that come to the Cancer Society, because they won't have to travel overseas anymore, which will reduce the cost. Because the biggest costs of traveling overseas is accommodation, which we find a lot of patients come to us for when they need to do radiation treatment. So that will reduce the cost now that pay out for accommodation, and they don't have to be away from their families and from work. They can continue working, because I was talking to the good doctor here before we started, and I was telling him it's a scary time for patients, when they have to travel overseas, and sometimes they don't even have anyone to accompany them. They have to go at it alone. So this is great for our patients and for the Cancer Society. So.
And with that, from the society's perspective, as you deal with the clientele and the like, are there particular instances of cancer that you see more prevalent? Are people coming in saying, well, this is where we need assistance. This is the type of cancer.
Well, I have some statistics. Breast cancer is the highest, and that is followed by prostate, colon cancer, and cancers of the blood. But breast cancer, there's also a cancer registry on island. Breast cancer takes up 35% of the registry, and in the 10 years that they have been collecting this data. And there are 700 cases so far on island of breast cancer. So that is one of the more prevalent cancers on island in women, and then of course the prostate in men. But the numbers are staggering, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. So Dr. Vikas, with that, you referenced that this new equipment and the radiation you can do from head to toe, depending, given the instance of breast and prostate and the like. Can patients benefit if they need radiation for breast cancer, for prostate? At Health City?
Actually, we have all those techniques which are required for these two malignancies. This because breast, if it's on left side, so there is a heart and lungs below. So that actually we need to preserve during radiation, and for that we have a arc therapy, in which we can exactly preserve these kind of organs, so that in the long term patient should not have any toxicity related to these organs. And at the same time, we can give very high doses to the breast. And suppose the patient is operated, at that time we can use, even along with external beam radiotherapy, we can use brachytherapy also, in which we can just place the source very near to the tumor cavity or bed which is there. So I think with this kind of combination, we can cover breast very easily. And right now we are offering a moderate hypofractionated kind of treatment for the breast, so patient should not go for 6 to 7 weeks treatment as we were doing conventionally. Right now we are doing maximum is a 3 to 4 weeks treatment, and soon I think we'll be able to cut short that time period also.
And over that time period, 3 to 4 weeks or less, so is that daily, every other day?
So it is like so patient will come, if he has to come to the hospital like Monday to Friday and Saturday Sunday off. So like patient has to come for half an hour to 45 minutes. So as we were discussing before the show, because if a patient has to go abroad, so he has to get treatment only for that 15 to 20 minutes. Rest 23 hours, I think he has to do there, because he's away from the family and he's not doing any job there.
Right.
So I think that is a very pertinent kind of thing that patient, it's a good that we have started this thing here, and patient can come get treated, and they can easily go to their jobs and attend their families members and all that. Yeah.
Right. So with that, Ms. Rebecca, as we can see immediately some of the benefits, but perhaps you can help us to expound on why such a facility is so important to us.
Well, as Charlene said, it's it's the first one in the Cayman Islands, and it's also going to prevent people from having to travel overseas, which is a massive, massive game changer. I'm also on the board with the Cancer Society actually as well, so although I'm not part of the financial aid committee, I do get feedback from the board as to a large portion of the costs that the Cancer Society pays for patients, and that is for them being away from work, to support them from utilities, from food, everything else that goes along with that, and also the travel and the hotel and everything else. So to have it on island is just psychologically a massive game changer, because when you're undergoing cancer treatment, you want to be with your family and your friends, and some people still continue to work because they're only going to be having the procedure done for 35-40 minutes of the day, so they can go back to work and keep their income going, keep their mind going as well. I've spoken to a few cancer survivors recently actually, and they've said, no, I wanted to work the whole way through my treatment. I just wanted to focus on something positive rather than worrying about the condition that I was getting treated for at the time. So there's so many positives. I personally am very, as you probably can tell, a bit passionate about it all. From a nursing perspective, and also from the Cancer Society perspective, and also I'm very proud of the organisation for Health City for bringing it to the island. In reality, linear accelerator, the machinery that we've brought in, you need one of those for 200,000 people, so we can't really cut the machine in half. So we've made a good investment into Cayman, which is something that I think we should be very proud of.
And this is where I think, generally speaking, many people can appreciate what Cayman offers, but that's mostly people from outside looking in, or those who have had that experience. I don't think we sing the praises or respect and recognize what we have here. Statistically, even if you have 100,000 people, and these machines are sort of programmed and planned to be most effective when it has a double the population size. It bodes well for us.
It's really well. I think we can, and again, just from a healthcare perspective, just on island, I think we are so fortunate. I've done quite a bit of travelling recently into different Caribbean jurisdictions, and I feel very, very honoured and treasured to live here, because not so much for the the Cayman kind is just goes beyond anything. It's such a beautiful place to live, but the fact that we have access to amazing physicians, great healthcare services, not just at Health City, but HSA and Doctors Hospital and all the other providers on island, we're very, very fortunate.
Very complimentary. So when we come out from the break, maybe if it's possible, we reference the Siemens equipment, but for many, not only first in the Caribbean, but the way the first world nations, as they term, they have this equipment. This isn't a cast off that you find somewhere and it's recycled. This is top of the line, and yet we banter about it so easily. And then maybe, Ms. Rebecca, we can ask specifically some of the events to support these, maybe help to subsidize costs, but how we can partner with Health City, with the Cancer Society. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap our discussion up. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist, or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs, and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's 2-for-1 Taco Tuesdays, and it's happening all day long at Tucker Restaurant and Bar in the East End and West Bay. Who doesn't love tacos, especially when they're 2-for-1, featuring specialty tacos like peanut chicken, blackened fish, pulled pork, vegetarian, and coconut shrimp. And of course, your favorites. Enjoy 2-for-1 tacos and 2-for-1 margaritas every Tuesday at Tucker Restaurant and Bar, all day long, East End and West Bay.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And it's really a pleasure to not only partnership with Health City and the Cancer Society, but with great respect to our guests, but those listening, to appreciate where we are. As I always say, Nurse Rebecca, I mean, she's the head of sales and marketing at Health City, but a nurse at heart, like an educator, is always a nurse or an educator. You can never stray far from your calling. And with that, maybe, Dr. Vikas, we can get people to appreciate that this investment isn't only about hopefully a lucrative financial return, because that only improves opportunities for more scholarship, greater services and the like. But it should say to the community the confidence that we have, but the respect that we have for patient care. The equipment is, as I've told, state of the art, top of the line, probably the first in the Caribbean, as it were, which speaks well. What is it like working with it?
So actually, that's why this equipment actually gives you confidence. Suppose I am here and I don't have this kind of equipment, so it's very somewhere you feel like, okay, what I'm doing, whether it's correct or not. But I think with this kind of equipment, so I'm more than happy in treating the patients, and moreover, I have a confidence that what I have planned, I'm going to deliver that only, because there are a lot of quality assurances that are required actually before delivering the treatment to the patient. So I think from that point of view, I'm a bit satisfied now, because I have all the both are the very good equipments that we have, and we can do actually a lot of things for cancer patients. So in whatever way they present, we can actually customize the treatment as per their as per the need of the patient. So I think that is a good thing, yes, for me.
So there is that, Ms. Rebecca, the idea that the confidence in the vision, but also then from the patient perspective, a renewed sense of comfort. There's the convenience, but there's also the competence and then the confidence in the equipment. That does well for all of us.
Yeah.
Tell us more about some of the other things that you've had going on that help to bring us, as part of the PR, but education and awareness of some of the events.
Yeah, so we have been actively carrying out cancer screenings throughout the community in all the different districts. We've only really just kick-started it. I think I was doing some statistics yesterday. I think we've screened over 500 people. And it's quite ironic that you're asking me this, because it's top of my brain right now. But we had 13 positive patients from these results. So we've done screenings from PSA tests for prostate cancer. We've done oral screenings for mouth cancer. We have done some in the community, actually. So we have done some fit tests for colon cancer, and which is a little stool specimen that you hand back out to the hospital afterwards. And then just hemoglobin A1Cs for diabetes and things like that. So we've had a 13% catch rate of that. We've also had some mammogram promotions, and we picked up, I think it was 3 ladies that had either stage 1, stage 2, and then we actually picked up someone who was stage 4 breast cancer, and that was just from offering reduced rate mammograms. We've had our low-dose CT scans for lung cancer screening, and look out for it because it's coming out next month, and it's $50 for a CT scan, low-dose CT scan, so minimal radiation from getting the scan. There's a certain criteria that you need to meet, so you need to be over 50 and been smoked for a certain amount of time and this kind of stuff. But we actually, again, picked up somebody with early-stage lung cancer that has been fully treated from that. So it's really important that we, if the screening's available, please participate. These are either reduced rates or the free that we're offering, and we're going around to different events in the community. We're going to be making some areas more accessible, so little minibuses to bring patients to the hospital as well. That's part of our plans. And then we've also been partnering alongside the Cancer Society, who are very actively producing health education talks. I know there's one going on for the physicians tomorrow night, I think it is, at the Wharf with Doctors Hospital and CICS. So we're all trying to work together to educate the physicians, to educate the general public, to do the screenings. All these things in a combination will hopefully prevent anyone even needing radiation, but the facility is there if needs
early
be.
detection, right?
Yeah.
But it's also the improved quality of life, getting it treated, without having to live with something that could be corrected or at least extend the quality of life. So with that, I mean, you have in technology and the like, and we've seen more and more the idea that we have patients who want to be more actively engaged with their physician, even at work, even when they travel. What sort of stuff are you offering at Health City in terms of patient records, patient accessibility
what
portals?
What a good question. Yes, we have our HCCI Connect app. So you can download it. It's on the Cayman Islands App Store and the US App Store, because we realise that a lot of people have the US App Store as well. So you can download that, or you can just go on your website browser, HCCI Connect, and you can make appointments. You can cancel appointments. You can change appointments. All fantastically. Sometimes you think if we sat at home at like 10 p.m. at night and thinking, I really need to make an appointment with Dr. Ashita, and then you completely forget. Well, I would, because I'm just so busy the next day.
You would too.
Whereas you can do it 24 hours a day. You can make it whenever you want. And then you also, again, perhaps I'm just making a comment about being a geeky nurse, but I like to know everything about myself in terms of medical records, and you can access your medical records on the little portal. It's all confidential. We follow all the data protection guidelines. So whilst you listening to me, download that app, HCCI Connect, and then you can have access to everything.
We have a question off here. I was asking about the screenings that you do. If you're is it a blood screen to help to detect for the cancers as well? I mean, the PSA.
The PSAs, yes. So you can do PSA for prostate cancer. CEA is used a little bit towards an endometrial cancer. And then there's also other tests. So we do a FIT test, which is like a little stool test in a little pot. And then, again, we've had 2 positives from that. And then you need further investigations. So things like colonoscopies, those kind of things as well. And when we're doing the screening as well, we've also been checking people's hemoglobin A1C for diabetes and lipid panels and things like that as well.
And when you're taking the blood, when the listener wanted to confirm, like, any part of the body, I mean, just take
it. Usually from your arm. We have a very experienced lab techs. In fact, one of them is my favourite. We call him One Jug John, because he only gets you once. So we've nicknamed him One Jug John. So yes, so when you come out to the screenings, don't worry, you're not going to be like a tea bag being pricked lots and lots of times. We have very experienced phlebotomists taking the blood.
But also the Cancer Society offer these vouchers all year round for PSA screening. And for women, Pap screening. Next month, we will be offering the mouth oral screening. So come see us if you need a voucher.
And I think men should know where the Cancer, but just society is located. But just in case.
Just in case. We are located, at 114 Maple Road, the little yellow Cayman building with the white picket fence across from HSA's parking lot.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't suggest you climb the fence, but hey, walk around if you need parking.
There's a gate. There's a gate.
There are a couple of parking spots right there. And come over, maybe just for a chat, maybe for education, some information, maybe find out about the services, get a better understanding so you don't feel like you're on your own.
Yes, exactly.
And before we close up, actually, if you want to make an appointment to see Dr. Vikas, you can call 640-4040, or you can download the app. In fact, the better way, do the app. Or you'll get referred mainly from a physician, a local physician, would then pass on the referral to our referral office or our international office, depending on if it's coming from overseas. And then Dr. Vikas will do his workup and his consultation and everything else. And we can always give you a little tour if you're a little bit apprehensive before your procedure. I'm happy to do that as well. So in any way we can, or if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.
Well, if I may, Dr. Vikas, invite you for some closing thoughts as you talk to the prospective patients or for those who are.
So I think we already discussed screening part. So screening, the main aim is to find the disease very early. And suppose if we find the disease very early, I think we are able to cure the patient. And rest is maybe find some good habits like walking, maybe 10 to 15 minutes a day. And that not, I think it will not take much time. So this is kind of me time for, I think for the, everyone. So take good care of your nutrition. And when you go out, just wear your shades and wear your hat and all that. I think that will cover a lot of things, and you won't suffer those things later on.
Thank you each coming. Thanks for the partnership with the Cancer Society. And we will talk more, maybe having an opportunity for people to understand the partnership, that our health, when it comes to that, we should be our strongest advocates. But it's really, really, encouraging that we have such facilities as Nurse Rebecca has shared, not just at Health City, but on island, and including, the Faith Hospital. So it's one country with some excellent resources. Thank you all very much. Looking forward to having some continued discussions. I trust and pray that the week will be enjoyable and peaceful, but most productive as well. Yeah. All right, when we come back, maybe we'll tell you something about some Iron Men and wooden ships. Want to know? Well, join us after the break. All right, stay tuned. We'll talk today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brack and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Police have been called out to investigate a robbery at a business on Seafarers Way in the vicinity of Warwick Drive in Georgetown. The call came in at 9:52 this morning. Police say a vehicle suspected to have been involved in the robbery has been recovered and the matter is under investigation. No injuries have been reported at this time. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. A billionaire's son who fled to Yemen within hours of the death of a student in London 15 years ago has admitted his involvement to the BBC. The body of 23-year-old Martin Vic Magnussen was discovered under rubble in a Great Portland Street basement in 2008. Farouk Abdullah, who is on the Met Police's most wanted list and is the subject of an international arrest warrant, has never spoken about the case before. He told the BBC Vic Magnussen died as a result of a sex accident gone wrong. And Twitter boss Elon Musk has announced a shakeup of the school media platform's paid Twitter Blue feature. From April 15th, only verified subscribers will have posts recommended to other users and be allowed to vote in polls. Under the policy, posts from non-paying accounts will not be included in the For You stream of recommended tweets. Last week, the firm said it would remove the verified status of some legacy accounts, which dates from before Mr. Musk bought the firm. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born September 25th, 1947, at Watering Place, Cayman Brac, Royce Adolphus Dilbert was the firstborn son to Helen and Grace Dilbert, née Tibbets. Mr. Dilbert was a hard-working man who spent numerous years at sea, as well as employing his diverse skill sets on land. In 1979, he would marry Yvette Jackson and took employment with Cayman Brac Power and Light Company in 1981 as chief engineer, where he remained until his retirement in December of 2018. Heavily influenced by his wife, in 1982 he gave his heart to the Lord and joined her at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where he later served as interim pastor in 2002 to 2007, becoming pastor in 2017. Mr. Dilbert was a charter member of the Rotary Club of Cayman Brac, served as PTA president at Creek Primary School, worked with the youth in the community, president of the Veterans and Seamen Society, and was a member of the Development and Control Board Cayman Brac until his passing. Royce was a devoted father to 7 children, loved to fish, and had a passion for cars.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us in a chance now to maybe focus on our history and our heritage, and as we engage in our culture, we get a chance through our good friends at the Cayman Turtle Center to maybe learn more, extend invitation to join and to be a part of it. We're talking about something that said, their latest educational presentation, Iron Man and Wooden Ships. So get this up together with Miss Wendy Dandy, right? Make sure I get it.
Yeah, that's
it. Yeah, the education program officer. It's for us, Miss Wendy, it's great to be able to be in a space where you can see history right in front of you. You can touch and taste and literally, feel, smell, and engage in your ancestral connections, in the things that probably, but for the service and sacrifice, you wouldn't be enjoying what you do then. And very few places, I think, present that to us. So thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So thank you for having us, first of all.
All right, tell us a little bit about it. Why this presentation at this time?
Well, I mean, all praises to the company and Geddes as well. I'm education programs officer at the Turtle Center. And Geddes here is my supervisor, the curator of terrestrial exhibits and of the education programs. And basically, he gave me the topic and I went crazy for him. Basically, because Geddes covers so much and there's so much he wants to accomplish as well. So you can't do everything at once. So for the education program, we're trying to pick up the end on that for him while he does all of his other departments he's responsible for as well. So the second installment of our ACT Talks is what we call it, Animal Conservation Talks. It's called Iron Man and Wooden Ships. And, I was honored enough. He gave me basically the wheel at that. And like I said, I kind of went crazy in the archives, interviewing old seamen and getting all of this information and be together, put the presentation together, and it's actually really quite impressive. You know, we took it through the real test we did at the Seamen's Association, and we got more than 2 thumbs up from those guys, and we continue to still.
That was scary.
Yeah, we continue to still get more information, but being the Turtle Center, you know, turtling is a part of Cayman's culture, and not a part of Cayman's culture. It is our culture. It's what put us on the map. It's on our currency. It's on our flag. It's our first form of economy. So we feel being the Turtle Center in our conservation efforts, we should be responsible for telling the beginning and story of where it's come from and how this put us on the map. And just also the resilience of these older men, because they're called Iron Men in wooden ships for a reason. Like, these guys really were Iron Men.
But so get this with that, and I really appreciate Miss Wendy setting it up so nicely, right? Two things. As curator, anything surprising as you've come upon information, much that you probably knew by your passing, but anything particular stood out for you as the information becomes, you know, that much more accessible?
Yeah, well, as I said, I'm not originally Caymanian. Some people might be surprised to know, but but the story of the turtlers always intrigued me, and it was hard to find information to piece the whole story together, which is why we decided to just do this research. At first, I was just thinking of something, you know, let's put something together so we can do a presentation to schools, but we found so much more. We decided this information has to go out to the wider public, because there's a lot of misconceptions that we debunked. For example, the Cayman turtles did not wipe out the turtles around the Cayman Islands. It was the European colonists that did, because the turtles were gone before Caymanians even started real turtling. And of course, the practice isn't. Of course, we should just clarify that the practice is not going on anymore. Turtling is officially done.
Right.
So there's no legal taking of turtles from the Cayman waters.
Before we get into our conversation, we want to make that disclaimer. Turtles are protected, and they're not allowed to be taken from the wild, and we do conservation work. So although we're talking about turtling in our past and what it makes us and the appreciation for it, we just want to put that disclaimer out
thank
there
you for sharing
that.
Right. I mean, and with that, Getty, you that misconception is something that perhaps, if not clarified and corrected, it could just be repeated, and people, well, that's what it is, because that's what they heard from this one. Maybe even
that's what I heard.
That's me too.
Right. And I'm glad you shared that, because I've had one or two people have that conversation, and to understand where they presumably heard it from, thinking, wow. So that's a misconception. What other potential, what other misconceptions that you were able to rectify?
Well, everybody knows, for example, they went to the Mosquito Keys. That was one of their main turtling grounds, but there were other places that they went to as well, like Puerto Rico. I never thought they went. Why would they go over there, of all places? They did a short stint in Cuba, southern Cuba, and some people might remember Costa Rica. But these guys, they worked hard. Well, I'll let Wendy give you more details, but the more we found out about it, the more my admiration grew, because the one theme that kept, as we do these presentations and we go out to places like Cayman National and the Monetary Authority, any corporation that was willing to hear it, KPMG, even some of the places we've been to, the one theme that keeps coming out is the adversity breeds innovation. Because these guys, they had it really tough, and they could have run. They could have left and gone somewhere else, but they didn't. They stayed here and they made it work, and they developed a whole way of life.
Did you find, and perhaps to you too, Wendy, but first, a renewed sense of respect and reverence for?
Absolutely, because what we're really driving home in this tour, where there's a lot of famous seafaring cultures, you know, the Polynesians, the Norwegians, the Vikings. Those guys had centuries to perfect their craft, whereas these Caymanian men did this in just over 100 years, definitely way under 150 years. And the innovation is incredible for such a short time. You know what I mean? And as Geddes said, they could have left, because how they got here was commissioning land to come to Cayman from the Crown in Jamaica. And they thought they were coming to little Jamaica, you know, with soil fruitful, can grow coffee and stuff. They realized how poor the soil was here. So there is, it's limestone land. So they had to turn to the sea, and they could have left, and they didn't. And the innovations, even the brack, like we found out a lot about the brack. They hold their own in the turtling industry that we didn't realize as well. They were super innovative.
So let me ask first, so as you went to the archives and you talk, how far back? This is what, 2023. The world is upside down, looks like. But when, from your initial research thus far, we're not going to say it's exhaustive, not definitive. When did this start as an industry? As we're talking just about a century of them doing it, according to what you shared. When did it start? In 1492, in 1327, in 1801? I mean, you have a sort of a date.
So, as Getty said, I'll make this as short as possible.
No, take it
When
time.
the Europeans first came down, that's what put Cayman on the map. Because back in those days was as Getty says, the Pirates of the Caribbean type of ships. They're coming down with pickled meats, pickled pork and beef, went sour. And back then, Cayman actually had the biggest turtle colony in the entire Caribbean, over 2 million turtles, green sea turtles. So that was a heaven sent for them to see that. So that was wiped out long before. All of the Europeans knew that was a stop. Another quip that I used from Geddes, it was the gas station of the Caribbean. So the Dutch, the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the English all came there. So they wiped out the turtles way before. As for the first settlers in Cayman, they came in the 1720s and 30s. So they started then, and their first turtling ventures were off of Cuba. They weren't that much turtles here. So that's a really interesting fact. I didn't know that either. Like, it was just common misconception. You would think it was the early turtlers, but they never did turtle here. They were always sent offshore.
The Rangers, right? They went.
Yeah, the Rangers. So I would say officially starting, I would say the late 1700s up until about 1945 to 55.
And with that, the reason why I'm asking is that I think the more that we get a chance to delve into our history, the more fascinating, rich, and vibrant that we see this, the more respect.
Right.
But I wonder to what extent.
It really. Go ahead.
Go on,
Sorry, I just saying it really picked up after emancipation with like finding your East and your West Bay crews and such. So I would say that's like 1830s forward when it really was industrialized.
The Dutch and all the others. Any, from your perspective, who were the first that started, coming across and the like?
I believe the Dutch.
Yeah, because as far as we can tell, according to that book, Founded Upon the Seas, that
whole thing.
book, they said they were Dutch. The Dutch were the first ones to set up temporary stations in the sister islands to hunt turtles. So they would actually come on a regular basis and do it, and they set up stations.
How maybe in asking your presentations, right? You are going to go to schools, corporate entities. How is that presentation from your perspective? How are you going to integrate that into your education initiatives as you talk about it? And how accessible is it? Who and how can we be a part of it?
Okay.
Better talking already.
Well, what we do to put it together in a slide, a package presentation.
Right.
We have a long format, like for a school lecture. We've done it at UCCI,
right?
And we've also done it at primary school level. So we have a shorter format for those guys. The lunch and learn version, that's usually like about 30 minutes. We have that one. We have that short version too. And people just contact us. It's free because our job is to get the information out there.
Right.
So we go out there and we meet people. We've shared the information and we have a nice discussion afterwards. It's pretty interesting. I've had cases. If I could quickly share a story, when we presented to the Monetary Authority, there's an old Caymanian lady in the audience, and she got all misty eyed because she lost her husband on a turtling voyage, and she was so happy that somebody was sharing the story. We got that same reaction, that similar reaction of the Seamen's Association. Like I said, that was scary.
Those guys are gonna get you straight. Like, no, that don't go like that.
No, they know exactly, and that's kind of one of what I want to ask. Understanding the presentation and the setup, how you have it geared. It's free. We'll get people to understand how they can request, as it were, whether for their school, their PTA, any entity that wants to be a part of it. But in the information, you want it to be as accurate as possible, as definitive as possible. In your research, how far back can you go? How confident that the stuff that you have found is authentic, legit? Yeah,
very confident.
I'm confident.
Yeah?
Very confident.
Yeah, I did it, and I'm confident.
There you go.
Very confident. We dug through a lot of records, from the UK and Cayman. Oh wow.
Very much so.
And big kudos to just want to make a shout out to the National Archive, Trisha, the National Archive.
They're amazing.
She's amazing. She was able to find stuff that we didn't know existed.
Yeah. That entire team.
The whole team is Sharice, everyone.
Yeah, Miss Tom, everybody. And it's the reason why I said is that I've been working on a hypothesis, and you just shared it. We have this misconception that our turtle is destroyed. Unfortunately, that's probably only maybe something that is shared of recent. Those of us who have that stock understand well. They left there and they arranged the field to get to return. Right? Ms.
I'll share an excerpt with you when you're finished.
No, go ahead. And I set you up. I know.
For that.
Yeah.
Because like I tell you, that really, I mean, it's a simple fact. The presentation goes so much deeper, but that was really a big fact for us to find. That was very blatantly there. If you look for it, it's not hard to find.
Right.
So a little quote off of a slide. Sorry to take over.
No, go ahead. No.
I thought it was, I mean, although it's a bit despairing, the nerd in me finds it a cool fact as well.
No,
so
man, that's education.
The records claim that this bountiful source of fresh food found in the Cayman Islands was a significant factor in facilitating the opening of the Caribbean, directly attributing to the success of colonization in the region through the supplying of exploration ships. So literally there's continuous text that shows they wouldn't have been able to go so far down into the Caribbean all the way down to Trinidad if it wasn't for Cayman supplying, having this meat. So as Getty says, his saying that stuck with me, the gas station of the Caribbean is what it was on the map as.
And I wonder, Geddes, I mean, as you joked just now, people don't realize that you're not Cayman. I'm glad you said it, Tommy. That the map, and those of us who either have taken voyages on ships, have family members who do, and you're coming in from Europe, you're coming up through the Windward Passage, you're winding your way up.
Columbus Channel.
Right. Yeah. Where Cayman is, even if you went fishing out for a couple of hours, you need to know where you're going in order to get back ashore, right? Even with some of the fancy equipment, now you can still hit up on shore and destroy your vessel, right? So we would come, supply the water and the turtle, and sometimes other things, and then return to be able to, as Wendy said, lead to the growth and the development of the Caribbean from this little spot.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't think people understand how significant that was.
That was very significant because like you said, you crossing the Atlantic and your meat goes, your protein goes sour. It's not that easy to fish out in the high seas.
Yeah. Do you think, right, from what you read, from your personal interest and the like, and I'm just trying to visualize some of the furthest islands over that side, and then here's Cayman, and it's the border water between, right? Big islands and all sorts of stuff. Do you think they came to Cayman deliberately, consciously, and perhaps initially to restock and then return in that direction to do their stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's recorded in text.
You pass through that Columbus Channel between Cuba and Haiti.
Right.
So word passed, and then all of the colonies realized, or all of the greater European countries realized, that's what put it on the map to stop there.
Did you know that before?
No,
no,
not at all.
No, we did not.
Not at all.
We knew this. We knew they came by to resupply, but we didn't know it was a regular traffic.
Right.
What else? Another thing.
Go ahead.
I just want to say while I remember it.
Yes.
Another thing we realized that Cayman also supplied meat back to Europe.
Yep.
Because there was an actual market, and there's actually a presentation by a PhD candidate that was that presented at the National Museum that intrigued us to find that, to dig into that. There was actually ships used to come from Jamaica, from the British colony in Jamaica, stop at Cayman every August. Stop at Cayman for 3 days to stock up on turtle meat to take to Europe, ship back to the UK on a regular basis.
And this is where I think sometimes you reference emancipation, but if we look at history and understand what's transpiring, so we had from the Dutch, and we come on down, and the English were the last. We're not going to condone what they did. We're not trying to excuse it, just trying to understand it. And as each put a stamp,
I mean, it makes sense as explorers. We're not
Yeah.
trying to condemn anyone, right?
No,
But
no.
if you're exploring something, you find a source of food, that's how you go about it. It's on the map. That's where to stop.
Yeah.
Because those days, they're not thinking about, environmentally conscious and that things come
Yeah.
to an end. Everything's limitless resources.
And I think
different set of time. So it's not to bash. It's just the facts of, our history.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing it. And that's why I was, respectful asking how confident you are.
Yeah,
how
very.
how much of what we trying to garner and share so that our people, not just those who visit as tourists or who live here on and off as, sort of long-term residents or people who have been here for a couple of decades, but us who understand that there is significance. I mean, I like to comment about Cayman and Trinidad, but I probably shouldn't pursue that. I should let you do that. You go and tell me, man, because it's significant of the role that we played and the supply of food and how a turtle, just like when we left to go to the Mystical Keys, for instance, and we came back, the turtles had to be able to survive that journey, as did our people, thankfully. You go up in the bush and you pick mangoes and you spend a couple hours.
They're a resilient creature.
Yeah.
They're a resilient creature because that's what it was. The Europeans just put a bucket of water on them because they thought they just needed seawater to survive.
Yeah.
So just a pail on them and then carry it down. I mean.
And then the process of eventually salting them, the corn turtle makes it that much, the preservation there, the practice of how the foods have been sort of melded across the Caribbean and the importance of it. One little speck on the map that if you didn't know where you're going had such an impactful role in the outcome of where we are in the Caribbean.
I found it pretty amazing, and it was repeated time and time again. It wasn't just a one-off finding. So that's why we really drove that point home because I'm very confident about it. It wasn't just a one-off. But I found it extremely interesting as well. I mean, this disparity of it, but. Let's get back to the facts and of what it is. It's, history-wise, I found it pretty cool. We were directly facilitated that, and literally the turtle is Cayman.
And I wonder if our perception as we listen just right now to this discussion, that, they came in their vessels, they went, they picked up, and then they left, and a couple of minutes later, it was like going into the supermarket to pick up a few things, or if it's similar, and are you able to tell from your research, if it's similar to what we know when the Caymanians left here, they went to the Mystical Keys, they were gone for weeks and months on end. What was that like for the Europeans who came here?
You mean how they turtle?
How they turtle here.
So, sorry to keep
No, we're different
okay,
too.
So that's where now we come in because we really, we're talking a lot about the Europeans, but I really don't want to take away from our Caymanian men because we really get into how ingenious these guys are. So no one in the world has our turtling methods. The Europeans had no idea. So when they came down, they tried with the harpoon thing because that's what they're used to with whales. And they realized that was pointless because when they first saw the islands, there were so many turtles, they thought it was reef and boulders, right? And then what they noticed was when the females come up on the beach, you just flip them over. So this is 300 to 500 pound animals, right? You flip them over and that's it. So that's why the population got wiped out so terribly as well because they're taking our nesting females. So that's what they did. They went up on the beach and they flipped the females and that's how their method was. Whereas Cayman was a whole different ingenious method and where they only took certain type. They didn't take nesting females. And we talk in depth too about the whole process of getting ready to go to sea, what they did when they went to sea, how they made their nets, all of that. Very ingenious, so totally different. The Europeans had no idea. They just did the cheat code, flipped them, and then when there was no more laying females, then it was just done. But they didn't actually go out and net them and pursue them.
That came up.
We just had the biggest nesting colony, so it was just like cherry picking.
The other thing, sorry, I just want to add that as we talk about the Cayman, the recurring theme that also came up was that how closely seamanship was tied to turtling. Because there's even a quote that we found by one of the governor or the commissioner in Jamaica that said that turtling was the school. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but turtling was the school that created Cayman seamanship. Because of turtling, they went to sea and they developed schooners, catboats, their methods of
These
navigating
guys are just
using
primary school education, and they're
Yeah.
navigating halfway across the Atlantic, like precision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these guys.
No navigation
Yeah,
school, no compass.
They don't have compass.
Celestial
they don't-
navigation.
Like a navigation for navigation for North Star.
Yeah,
Yep.
And
a
stuff.
stick.
Yeah, and they were the
stick.
only guys to sail out at twilight as well, and that's because they were following the stars, whereas people would set out during the
Did
day.
they?
So these guys, for such a small island and such a small population, literally no one else is on record, not even Jamaica, because we've checked to see if Jamaica did fishing of that sort, boat designs of that sort. We've tried to look at who else has been like trying to catch turtles. We are absolutely on our own for such a small island. It really just reignited so much pride, and then I felt a bit of sadness too, because I didn't learn that so in depth in school. And you know,
lucky learned it at all.
At all. I didn't actually. I didn't learn it at all. I was trying to save the combo. So it was really exciting to me, and like it really ignited something that I'm happy Geddes put me on this trail, and I just want to share.
I can see. Would you be willing to share more of the presentation, because I think many of us will get an insight, and I'll be guided by you and ask if I say this incorrectly to guide me.
Mm-hmm.
But for some of us who have such a strong love and respect, admiration and pride in who we are and in our country, and I don't only mean generational Caymanians, I don't only mean people who have status. I keep calling it citizenship, but I'm told that's legally incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they've been here for
I
decades.
forget it's the Trini that made me do this. So we get it, love for the island.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
get it.
And there are people that I
He is
know
a flag
who've
carrier.
only been here for a short time, but their love and admiration for what is here. I don't think we celebrate it enough, right? So in saying that, I want you to help us to celebrate. But in your research and looking at what has transpired, two things are evident from what you just shared. We practice something that I think even our parents practice. We may not do this much. No, waste not, want not. They were respectful and resourceful. They didn't destroy every conch or lobster.
Mhm.
They didn't take it.
Yeah, they had their
other
skies
times,
limits, all
right?
these things.
They practice a sense of, maybe today's words, conservation.
Yeah.
Save some for tomorrow. They did that. It was instilled in us. I can remember one time I wanted to take a particular fish, and my father just looked at me. He didn't have to say anything. I just knew, okay. But that's a fish you eat.
We know that parent look.
And he's like, no. And then you wait till that fish is this, and you don't do this one. They educated you, right? Before we go into the break, let me then ask, as you shared, Ms. Wendy, the idea that we went far afield to the Atlantic. You found voyages to the Nordic countries. I mean, we were trading. There were, what would be today's words, embassies. To what extent did you come across anything like that?
So, no, I haven't for the Nordic countries. What we found for European, it was just that it was a luxury meat. So it was brought back for banquets. So this wasn't sold to the regular man on the street. It was for royal banquets, for duchesses and visiting diplomats. But that was the most I found. I didn't over delve in it because we really wanted to focus on the discovery and then more so the hardships of these guys.
Yeah.
Well,
but they did take up Caymanians
but we
to help
did do
them
basic.
to help them on the voyage across the Atlantic.
Yes, so yeah, we got that too because we go into that more too. So Caymanians as well would jump on board, go up to England, spend a couple of weeks, come down, maybe not. So, and then just come back and then just word of mouth, just learn it. Still not writing it down in a book, just like this is how I saw it go. And I could tell you it's a short amount of time because all cultures have done this, but the short amount of time and the brilliance. Because even our boats or schooners, like our native woods, our mahogany and our ironwood, those boats are basically indestructible. They're salt resistant, worm resistant. As Geddes said, he mentioned when he was doing a talk that stuck with me. It was so funny. When those European ships would run up on rocks, the hull just smash up right away. Like our wood, you just roll that back off, slide that off of the ironwood, and good to go.
Yeah, man.
And they just knew how to, dig a hull good enough for it to be buoyant and all of this, with no preparation, just.
They're very ingenious.
It's just, and Cayman Brat too, like I tell you, really, we didn't think about them as much. But those are the pioneers. They made the first schooner and the first catboat. And then they specialized on a different species as well. So, like, we were really blown away. You know, it's all there. It's just not out there. And we want to make it out there.
So, can we share some of that stuff that should be out there and that you get in? You can do as much of the presentation you want if you're comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, there's nothing that came on in hardwood. And Mr. Ezra has come in many times and said, you know, in Northside, we still have some of that, but we see the destruction. Some would say the development. Maybe one word is the same as the other. But without that love and that appreciation, that education, we might have the preservation. When we come back from the break, could we also ask more about the Caymanians who accompanied, you know, the vessels on their return voyage to Europe, and to what extent, if any, as we focus on, you know, I guess we give preference and deference to the Caymanian participation as the turtlers, but the Europeans and using the Tainos or the like, as they made their voyage, you know, up the Winter Passage, the Columbus Channel, coming into the Cayman, were there any discoveries of them using people, indigenous people from that side, to help them navigate to get here?
Oh, okay.
All right, that's the question. We're going to pause. We're going to take the break. The phone lines are open. It's not just history in motion, man. This is an education that you probably only wished you had yesterday. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we are introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thanks very much. And thanks to Ms. Wendy Dandy, the Education Programs Officer. And as she said, she called her supervisor so casual and comfortably, and such a wonderful, amenable, partnership as team members over the Cayman Turtle Center. The curator, terrestrial manager, Mr. Geddes Hislop. Some would almost accuse him of being a Caymanian, but I won't get in trouble for it. I'll leave that for now.
That's okay.
It's one of our biggest advocates.
Why it can't be both?
It can be both, right? And it doesn't have to be derogatory. No, but I say that as Ms. Wendy referenced. It's that love that we have for where we are, that willingness to learn and to share. And I think through your latest exhibition, your education information that you shared, maybe more of us would understand that we only know a little bit. There's much more. And I'm sitting here just encouraged and inspired that we've learned so much about our place. But Geddes, as a curator, what is it about information that is probably available, but we don't know because we don't look for it, and even when we find it, we don't present it, and when we present it, people don't tend to learn, and then when they learn, they question it, and they almost discard it.
Yeah, well, we have, and taking it from a few other cultures,
Yeah.
Some people know who they are. I'll just use I'll use Trinidad because I know something about them.
A little bit, right?
I love it.
Yeah, wherever they go, they know who they are.
Yeah.
Okay, they might have left for a long time, but you can always tell one of them as soon as they meet each other.
Like a West Bear.
Yeah, West Bear.
He's one of those too.
Yeah, well, I can claim a lot of hats.
Sorry,
definitely a West Bear too.
Yeah, but you ask a Trinidadian, for example, about calypso. Let's just use something easy, calypso.
Yeah.
They can tell you. They can go back to the history of it.
Yeah.
Right. What brought me to this is that I asked some young Caymanians about their history and their background, and they don't know that much. Which is sad because they don't learn it. They don't learn it in school. They don't pick it up from the elders.
Mm.
I don't know if they don't pay attention or they just don't get the story. So I feel if you know who you are, you become more grounded and you know where you're going.
Yeah.
And you know how far you've come.
So is that either deliberate or just inadvertent? I mean, you shared, and I'm glad you used Trinidad as an example. If Paul doesn't mind, he is Trinidad. He doesn't look like it, but it's evident that there are people who know, and it's not in your face, it's not flagrant, it's not that they belligerent. It's just a reverence and respect for who they are, right? In the Cayman context, what's missing that we don't have that? Because some of the things that you've discovered at the age that we are, we should have known this from the first day of school.
Yeah,
right.
It's not in the schools.
And when stuff is presented, Miss Wendy, I mean, you're just out of your teens, right? We're gonna go there. Compared to Geddes.
Oh gosh.
I guess I'll take it.
Yes, please.
That's a touchy subject that I think goes outside of my work.
Well, I don't want anybody to hold against you, but
I have a lot of feelings about that, but I feel it goes outside of what we're trying to do here. But
okay,
because it's a government issue otherwise, because you have a very good point.
Yeah.
But
yeah. All right, and perhaps in saying that, thank you very much, Mom, and with the grace of apology to you.
No.
It's something that Geddes is Geddes, and we appreciate and understand that. But if you're not imbued with that sense of respect and identity,
but agreed with your sentiments, 1,000.
Yeah, and if we don't love yourself, right? So, guys, with this education, what are you hoping? Not just the entities and individuals that you would like to reach, but what are you hoping would come as a result of this? Because just that one misconception that you dispel, we didn't destroy the turtles. If anything, I think the conservation efforts of the Cayman Turtle Center has done much to populate the waters.
Oh, we have studies
right?
on that too.
Yeah,
very much so.
Well, I'll thank you. I'll ask you because
figures and
it's you can probably go out now almost every day and see at least one turtle. And I know people who deliberately do that and they see many. So, but Geddes, I mean, to that point, who do you want to reach with this, and what are you hoping that they'll get from this education initiative?
Our main goal, our mandate at the Cayman Turtle Conservation Education Center, that mandate falls in my lap because education is under my portfolio, is that what we want people to do is to have an appreciation for what Cayman is and what the impact that we have on the world, this tiny island, this tiny culture, the little mouse at the road, I think.
Yeah.
Because people already know that what we do with turtles, so on, but our history, the impact that we had, like when you said just being a gas station for the Caribbean.
Yeah.
This tiny island was a very important part of the development of the rest of the Caribbean. The the colonization. I don't know if you want to take that as a good thing or not, but
no, I mean it just is what
it is, right?
Without Cayman, without Cayman, I don't know if they would have if it would have happened as efficiently or
repeated over and over. That's why we're driving it home so much, because
and I want people to appreciate that.
Text. That's why we're so confident about it.
And then the other thing I want people to appreciate is what the people, I'm saying all people, went through to make Cayman what it is.
The resolve and the resilience.
The quality of life and the standard of life that we have here would not be there if our ancestors, if our elders did not set the groundwork for our economy as it was. Because without turtling, Cayman would not have been what it is today.
Financial center
and that came across
lawyers, all of that, not without turtling.
It came across very clearly.
Miss Wendy, just pull that mic a little bit closer to the other side. Can I ask you, go ahead, get this, and I want to ask Wendy about something.
Yeah, because when you look at we went through colonial records, we went through all kinds of things that, oh gosh, I was getting cross-eyed. We went through all kinds of stuff in this research, so much so that we actually have a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is part 1 we're talking about. Yeah. Part 2 is post when turtlings ended in the early 60s, late 50s, whatever. But the economy of Cayman depended so much on turtling. It's kind of like how everything hangs off the finance industry and the tourism industry today. People who have right down to taxi drivers and restaurants, they depend on the tourism industry. Right? The attractions that people come to the hotels, they work in there. People supply the hotels with various things, various services and goods because of the tourism industry. It was the same thing with turtling. Turtling was the major industry that everything else hung off of: rope making, tending the grounds, the shipbuilding, all of that, because of turtling. And if it wasn't for that industry, Caymanians wouldn't. They might have actually given up and left.
Yeah. That speaks to the resilience and the resolve. We see it oftentimes, usually in the passage of a natural disaster or something of a national issue.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we appreciate it. As we're speaking to get this history up for those who are joining us, and Ms. Wendy Dandy, now I call it the Cayman Turtle Center, but it's a more extended name, Turtle and Education.
Turtle Conservation and Education Center, but Cayman Turtle Center for short.
Yeah. Okay. And when I say Turtle Farm, I don't say that with anything other than the greatest love and respect.
Yeah, we know it's going to take a while.
Yeah. But it's because one of my uncles worked there, because with Mr. McLaren being there, because you can go there and you can still feel the connection. You understand its significance, and not just to go there and be able to enjoy your national dish. That's not the issue. It's what it has done. You've said that with a respect that just your words, right, resonate with our ancestors, and maybe all of us hearing it should have that same level of respect. Do you think then, as I was going to give you sort of an amateur and aspiring historian, right? Do you think that failure, or perhaps less than stellar presentation of our history, is that just inadvertent or deliberate? Because if you don't know who you are, then you just don't know.
I don't know. The thing is that I think the knowledge is with the older ones, but the younger ones, they're growing up in a different world.
They're passing to
so they're not passing it on. They don't appreciate it. Because, for example, when I tell people, do you know that book Founded on the Seas? And they look at me like, what's that?
Right.
So that's the history of the Cayman Islands.
Well, when you said that book, right, I have a particular view of the book, partly because it's been acknowledged that there are so many inaccuracies in the book.
Yeah, but at least they got something.
Right. and then the desire to have it updated, and the desire to maybe have another edition of it, different things. But there's so much in our history, and you referenced the National Archives from, Tricia and Sharice and Tommy and all of, even Miss Bentley. It's a fantastic team. You present yourself, you follow, the protocols and the rules. You get access to so much. Mr. Steve might feel, I would imagine that he probably has his chair reserved there, right? But we need to get it and share it.
Yes.
So, Miss Bentley, with that, some of the innovations that you reference, how we were. Maybe you can tell us about that. But I wanted to ask before, again, I had asked before we went to the break. We know the Caymanians who accompanied the vessels back to on the European leg of the journey. But the Europeans that came over, did they pick up, for want of a better word, the indigenous people, the Tainos, and help them to navigate and to understand the practices and find their way, through
So for that part, I can't comment on.
Okay.
I didn't come across
Fair
anything
enough.
much for Taínos. The only indigenous people that I came across that we encountered, and that was the Caymanians themselves, were the Mosquito Indians, which they actually got along with very well. Up along the Mosquito Coast.
Yep.
Right. There were Mosquito Indians there, and they had a really good relationship, apparently.
No, I say mosquito because I saw it on the map.
Mhm.
And I know English says, mosquito, but...
So that's off of Nicaragua.
Yeah, so Mosquito Keys, right? The Mosquito.
Yeah, Mosquito Keys.
Yeah.
So it's a long
Yeah.
line of keys, about 100 miles
Yeah.
off to the east of Nicaragua.
Mhm.
And that stretches up and down. So like Sand Keys, Mangrove Keys.
Yeah.
So these guys would just patrol up in there. It was like at least 200 miles of keys
Yeah.
going up and down.
And we had, as you shared, I started to interrupt, an excellent relationship with those Mosquito Indians.
Yes.
An amazing relationship.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Also repeatedly in text.
Yeah. Which was, from what I understand from reading and from the oral history, it was shocking. Most others didn't enjoy that sort of camaraderie and that friendship and that interaction.
Oh no, the Spanish did not, because they even had cases where I came across one point where the mosquito, a chief of one of the tribes there, appealed to the Caymanians to appeal to the British Commission in Jamaica to petition on their behalf to get the Spanish to I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
To treat them nicer.
Yeah.
So they went, instead of going to the people who colonized their country, they went to the people that they had a relationship
We were the
with.
emissaries. We sort of intervene and help to mediate and facilitate.
Yeah.
We'd send the letters to the commissioner and back it for them, but at the end of the day it would be the commissioners in Jamaica and the High Court in the UK to make the decision.
And this is how, as we understand our history, England now is the powerhouse of the era. They're controlling everything right, globally, and they've got their outposts here and they've got their people established, and that is the center of the world, right? It's history and the convenience there. But here we are over here. I like how you put the gas station in the car. We have this resource. Miss Andy, go on, tell us more.
No, so we have in our presentation, a whole part about isolation. So being under Jamaica, like I tell you, they sent land grants for people to come over. But once emancipation happened, England wasn't really paying attention to colonies that weren't bringing in profit. Cayman didn't have that, we poor soils. So we very much left on our own. I think the French saying was laissez-faire.
Laissez-faire.
Laissez-faire. It's like whatever happens, happens.
They basically just dumped Cayman.
They really just dumped us and you're on our own. They, no matter how much letters you wrote,
ignored.
Completely ignored. So we, really got into that as well on how we just buckled up on the self-reliance and made it happen. And we didn't have to stay. We could have went back to Jamaica, but we said, no, we're going to make it work.
It speaks to what I think is within our spirit. Mr. Carl, do we need to take the break? Or we'll do that and maybe come back and I'll ask you about that. And that, how that plays into our history and some of the things we know from the historical record in terms of our behavior, our independence, so to speak, if that's the word to use. All right, see what you learn if you listen. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Are you a Caymanian job seeker searching for employment? All jobs, whether full-time, part-time, temporary, or permanent, will be required to advertise on the Jobs Cayman portal. Visit work.ky. That's worc.ky to start your job search to see all available jobs or to apply. For assistance in registering or to learn more, call toll-free 1-800-534-9672 or customer care at 945-9672. 945-9672 today.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. That's 949-7104.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks very much to Mr. Geddes Hislop and Mr. Wendy Dandy, not only for coming today, not only for allowing us to share more of your time, but for the willingness and the almost insistence in your research to ensure that it's accurate and authentic, but you present it so that we, whether it's the primary school student, whether it's the college student at UCCI, whether it's a corporate entity, that we have an appreciation, but also a better comprehension. So, I love this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having
Welcome.
us.
Welcome.
I leave it to you. Our show ends at 2:30. We have a news break at 2. Your choice is yours whether at 2 what you do, right?
Okay.
But Geddes, share with us some more. And I was asking about some of the things before the break. But before we do, I'll defer to you if you wanted to interject anything else in the meantime.
Okay. Well, I guess we can see till 2. But
Alright.
the thing is, I really want to get us out to corporate because we work in our education programs at the center. We work a lot with the schools at various levels, all the way from preschool right up to universities. But getting it out to the corporate world, especially for those that are not from here, to appreciate what Caymanians are and what they're into. And I'm hoping that with our first look at it was to try and look at it from a different perspective, not just the story of turtling, but what turtlers contributed to our society and our economy. That's it. That's it. The approach that we're coming with, right? And going to places like financial institutions like KPMG and CNB, and telling them that this was the economy before the banks came here.
Right.
They can appreciate that, especially when you hear these guys worked. Oh gosh, they worked. They literally risked their lives for 3 months or more, and they got paid practically nothing.
Yeah.
But that says a testament to these men and what they did for their families. That just every time I think about it, my admiration just goes up more and more.
And I'm hoping that in you making the presentations, not just to the corporate entities, but increasingly the employees there start to understand that if we live and work in a place, how do we gel? How do we come together? And maybe an understanding that we're more alike. But how is this small place? I keep admiring your reference to the gas station in the Caribbean. And unfortunately, I think many people understand how that passage, we see friends who go some part of the world by a boat and sail back here and understand what that involves even today take that now centuries ago, what I must have been. There was something during the break, Geddes, I would leave it to you to reference it about the population, but tell me, was that something that you've heard? Expand a little bit for us. This is for a particular friend.
Okay. Well, yeah, we were talking a little bit about Caymanians, the Cayman Trinidad connection. Long ago, when I first was hearing about Cayman, I was inquiring about it, actually, because down in the Eastern Caribbean, in those days, we didn't know much about Cayman. You know, we heard about it, didn't know what it was. It was somewhere there by Jamaica. That was about it. We actually thought it was part of Jamaica too.
Probably so, yeah.
Yeah, down in there, we didn't know much about it. But as I started inquiring more and more, I started hearing from people saying, "Oh, wait a minute, Cayman? Yeah. I know a bunch of people from Cayman, and they're living here. Some people moved here. Some people have family back in Cayman." I said, "Oh, really? I never even heard about that before."
Yeah.
You know, so there is a connection. I never explored it, but apparently there's more to this Cayman Trinidad connection than we know.
And I think as we look at that, we see Cayman in the Bay Islands of Honduras. We see Cayman in Cuba.
Definitely the Bay Islands too. I found that out in my research. Like all of the stilt houses that they have, Caymanians are directly responsible for that. Like that's our style. We introduced that, and our Honduras ties are extremely deep as well. And we're some of the first founders on certain coasts in Honduras as well.
And that reference that we and the Mesquite Indians got along well, I think it spoke to the inherent nature of us being hospitable, amenable, so affable. People who look at things and try to find how do we bring people together. It's not a garish or a garrison approach to anything. Maybe we need to speak more to that, and maybe that's the attraction that we have still to this day relative to the the tourism and hospitality sector, the corporate and finance world, where people see that there's the competence, there's a strong work ethic, but for whatever reason, we're letting the narrative be so negative.
It's so funny. I found a little passage that said it was a Christian missionary that came, European. He's like, he found that the island was full of all tall admiral and Christian men.
Well,
I was like, okay, I'll take it, all tall.
Well, when I look at family on both sides of my tree, I'm thinking, dang, I missed that one. I must have got up to 10.5, but everybody.
I was laughing, like maybe tall in pride.
Yeah.
Pride.
But is that from the turtlers to the men who went to help with flagging the railroad and their ability to not just navigate the swarms, but also deal with the sandflies, their work ethic.
Oh wow! Some of the stories you hear.
The sandflies were for our personal interviews. Oh my goodness, a lot of PTSD has been caused by sandflies.
I'm convinced.
I spoke to Mr. Paul Hurlston, who's 92, just last week from South Sound. He's one of my new favorites, and because we still keep trying to just catch up and catch the last of these guys, and we had a questionnaire me and Geddes pre-wrote out. So one of the questions is a memorable story, and he was saying they got a nor'easter blew in out of nowhere and they got stranded for 5 to 6 days on the Keys, no food, just had to drink coconut and coconut jelly. He's like, the sand flies. And he was 14 and he's 92 now, and he was telling me that like that happened yesterday. So, sorry, you saying that just made me laugh because I've heard a lot of sandfly incidents that have scarred them.
I think that's part of where when we see all of it's interesting. We have one of our listeners, and I think here's another budding historian with an incredible intellect. So the Cayman Trinidad connection was developed during World War II when Caymanians went to Trinidad to serve in the British Royal Navy, right?
Oh, okay.
And that certainly is, and I'm glad that the gentleman shared this with us, right? That is certainly what I come to understand. But in more recent times, apparently, the connection goes back even further. I'm waiting for Rebecca to reveal something.
That's the part that I'm thinking of, because I knew about it during the war years.
Yeah.
But there was something earlier than that.
Yeah. Because, from your comment just then, right, and I got to say, get his age, but let's just say that World War II, he would have been a young fella, and so when he was inquiring about coming to Cayman,
but my father mentioned the Cayman Islands.
Exactly. Yeah.
How you know about Cayman? He said, I know some guys that have been around Cayman, because he was just like you mentioned in yours. He was a traveler too.
Yeah.
He never been to the Cayman Islands, but he's met Caymanians.
Yeah.
And he's met Caymanians in Trinidad.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
something to explore, man. We have a fascinating history.
Oh yeah.
I think we need to.
How much more than we realize is what I'm realizing.
So like I said, this is the point of this presentation, and maybe more to come, is to help Caymanians to realize the impact that they have on the world, just from this tiny island.
Yeah. Don't take it for granted, and don't let people discredit it.
Yeah.
You can sing your praises without being arrogant and conceited, and you don't have to disparage others to celebrate your success. Right?
Yeah.
As I'm very grateful and hopeful we'll come back maybe for part 2 as we close the discussion. Any final thoughts, guys, including how people individually, whether it's in a corporate entity or any setting, would like part of the presentation or anything else? What do you want to say to our listeners?
Well, please, we're more than eager to get this information out there. We'd love for people to contact us. They can contact us through our social media. They can call the center directly. They can email us info@turtle.ky. Set up these things, because we actually set ourselves a quota for the year that we want to get through.
Remember, it's free.
It is free for now.
And we'll plan around your time and schedule and all of that.
Yeah, from businesses to schools to church groups,
especially
to neighborhoods.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah,
anyone.
Want the word to spread.
All right.
And if I may, I just want to add a couple of things, because we do have some things
that we have coming up. Yeah.
Stuff we have coming up. If I have a few minutes.
Yeah. You can either do it now if fall approves, or you can come back after. Your choice.
Do that.
Well, we can
do it after.
Let's do it after.
All right. Stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Make sure to pop outside around just after sunset tonight to catch a very cool planetary alignment. You'll be able to spot Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, and Mars in the western sky. Local STEM organization, Minds Inspired, is encouraging students and families to take advantage of this opportunity. The planets will not be visible in a straight line, but rather an arc-shape appearance from just above the horizon to much higher in the sky near the quarter moon. Tonight is the best night to catch the alignment, but it will be visible for a few more days. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. A school head, a custodian, and a substitute teacher are among the victims of a shooting that has left 6 dead at a school in Nashville, Tennessee. 3 staff members and 3 pupils were killed in the attack by a 28-year-old former student at the Covenant School on Monday. Police said they did not believe any of the victims had been specifically targeted. And gun violence is a fixture in American life, but the issue is a highly political one, pitting gun control advocates against people who are fiercely protective of their right to bear arms. There have been more than 130 mass shootings across the U.S. so far this year alone, including the attack at the school in Nashville in which the children and 3 adults were killed. Figures from the Gun Violence Archive, a non-profit research database, show that the number of mass shootings has gone up significantly in recent years. In each of the last 3 years, there have been more than 600 mass shootings, almost 2 a day on average. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Tropical Plaza Variety Store. From knickknacks to quick snacks, odds and ends, and that convenient fix. Across from Cayman Prep, Smith Road in Tropical Plaza. Tropical Plaza Variety Store. A corner store with so much more. Tropical Plaza Variety Store. Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Between the traffic, the meetings, kids' activities, there just isn't enough time. Best Health Pharmacy was a game changer. Not only are they centrally located on Eastern Avenue, but they deliver prescriptions for free anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. I could not believe it. When my prescription ran out, they ran it back to me. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, offering free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks to Mr. Geddes Hislop and Ms. Wendy Dandy from the Cayman Turtle Center. So the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center. Yeah.
CTC for sure.
And if you like my daddy, he probably say, "Oh, you mean mariculture?"
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow, yeah.
And if you didn't hear that before, well, actually, neighbor, what he said, that best be
that's
mariculture.
really original.
No, but that's the love I think that we have in this country for it, for many reasons. I know you want to share some things, Mr. Geddes, but before we do, callers join us respectfully. Let's hear this caller. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Dr. Barnett here.
Hey, good afternoon, Dr. Curtis, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It almost sounds as if your guest read a little bit of my book, Emmanuel Epic.
I was about to wonder if you had given them the presentation.
Yeah, well, I did know a few little I knew of a few little Trinidadian Caymanian connections. One, of course, was the Navy man who spent World War II, in Trinidad, the naval station there.
Mm-hmm.
Naval station. Did they know about it?
No.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Yeah.
I had heard about those two, but I also heard about ones about connections earlier than that.
All right.
Yeah. Because my father told me about Caymanians that he knew. Even before
I believe
before
that.
the war.
I believe that. And then after the war, too, there were some, I think, involved in the, the asphalt industry or the oil.
In the box, and there were ships running bauxite.
All right.
Out of Guyana, and there were Caymanians. There were Caymanians on those ships too.
Right. Okay. And I think even our singer Sean Hennings, if I'm not mistaken, he might have been born in.
Yes, Hennings is also a name that I know of in Trinidad.
Okay. And let's see. Talking about names, I have a few Trinidadian friends in New York. Let's see if any of these. You know the name Bino?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You know the name Loney?
Loney? No, I don't know that one. Sorry, say again.
So are we missing that last one?
I said it's from San Fernando.
Oh, from South. Okay, I'm from the north. I'm from the north of the island, so I don't know that well.
And of course, my own sister-in-law, Sarah Herrera. How do you like that?
Oh,
yeah.
Spanish. That sounds like people from up in the mountains.
Yeah.
or central Trinidad, where there's a lot of Spanish influence.
Sangre Grande.
Oh, Grande, yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I had some other friends, Miller, Francis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, right, so there were some tremendous connections there.
Yeah.
And, of course, in this modern day and age, we've had a few civil servants, teachers, and so on come to Cayman from Trinidad. I don't think it's gone the other way so much because the population is a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I did meet some Whitakers.
Yeah.
That told me that their family came from Cayman. I can't remember how far back.
Mm-hmm. Probably from North Side.
Yeah, probably likely from North Side. But they did say that their family originally came from Cayman.
Right. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a lot in Panama too. Apparently, Guatemala, we were running bananas from Guatemala to Tampa. I found out from Mr. Hurlston. So I think there's a lot of countries we realize that we have.
You're referring now to Caymanians?
Yeah, I'm referring that to Caymanians, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of that. You know, the banana boats. They were run by Caymanians, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fascinating history. I think the more that we look into it, the more we're willing to share it, the more we respect that there's strong connections and have a renewed sense of appreciation. You know, and I mean, Dr. Martin, just your own personal history alone that shows the connections, huh?
A few.
Yes, sir. Anything else you want to share with us, sir?
Well, nothing like Dr. Eric Williams, but Dr. Curtis Barnett signing off here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking a minute to call, and I know Mr. Geddes and Ms. Mendy has to soon head back, but maybe if something sparks your interest before we end the program, always feel welcome to call. Thank you so much, both of you, for, I said, not only the research, but sharing with us. But I know you have a few points you want to relay to our listeners, huh?
Yeah, just that this is for the Turtle Center itself.
Yeah, few company announcements.
Yes,
coming up.
Announcements.
Brought to you by the Cayman Turtle.
Yes, Earth Month is coming up. This is April. And in Cayman, Earth Day is the 22nd of April, International Earth Day. But in Cayman, we celebrate it as a month. So we have an Earth Day committee that the Turtle Center is a part of. And that includes DOE, National Trust, and others. And what we're doing, just so that people know, is the committee is running the month, divide the month into 4 weeks with 4 different themes. You'll be hearing more about it, but this is just consider this a precursor. We have the Reduce Our Carbon Footprint Week, Connect with Nature Week, Reduce Plastics, and Get in the Water. Those are the 4 different themes. And you'll be hearing more about it, but it's just a prelim. As far as Turtle Center goes, we have a couple of activities coming up. The Easter Festival that we have every year, which is very popular with the kids. They come in, and that's going to be Saturday the 8th of April. Okay, so they can come in there and enjoy a day at the park. They'll have the usual things, bouncing castles, games, and so on.
Kids under 12 are free.
Yeah, kids under 12 are free.
Oh, sorry. That's just qualified.
And when you bring free plastics,
to celebrate the Free Plastics Week, we bring free plastics. That's our theme that we do at all schools. We encourage them, especially when we do like turtle releases. If you can pick up free plastics a day, right? That just to get you into the conscious habit of helping to reduce the plastic impact. You bring free plastics, you get it free. Okay, and we partner with Junk on that. Actually, Junk told us that on the last one, they got more plastic from that one event than they did for the whole 3 months prior.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's our level.
So thank you everyone last year who participated in that.
Right. And then of course we're celebrating Earth Day with a turtle release. So we have a public turtle release. We normally only have 2 public turtle releases a year, which is World Sea Turtle Day in June and Pirates Week in November. But we're adding a turtle release for Earth Day, which will be on the Friday 21st at Governor's Beach, 10 o'clock at Governor's Beach. So you can check our websites for that.
And this is where you see the waters. So hopefully we'll have you on again to talk about.
I hope so.
And expand on what you shared, but much about what you are doing as well, right? So Ms. Wendy, thanks very much.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Likewise, man. And I'm glad that through you we learned a little bit about Cayman. We may be able to share in the pride and the respect and realize what we have. So enjoy your afternoon. To our listeners, we'll close out the program with some open line for the next 15 minutes, but our guests have been so gracious with their extended time. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
From boat days to beach gatherings, Leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
Look at you. Listening to the radio, tuning in, getting stuff done. Total doer. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're getting your oil changed, or grabbing some chicken. Maybe you're doing something that's nobody's business but yours. Hey, that's cool. We're all doing something. Now you can join a whole new community of doers doing more on findyellow.com. With custom search, local experts, and trusted reviews, whatever you're doing, get it done on findyellow.com.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from March 27th till April 1st at his Crew Road Clinic. Clinic appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Row Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Row Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And we go straight to the phones initially. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and good afternoon to your host and to everyone.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Yes, well, I guess okay. I just want to talk about our Caymanian connection. First of all, let me find out your discussion is concerning Trinidad and the Cayman Islands connection. What is your discussion? Because I didn't get to listen to it prior to this, but I know a lot about Trinidad and who went there and worked there from Cayman Brac and the amount of traffic, shipping traffic that passes here almost every day going and coming to Trinidad. What's your discussion?
Okay, so our guests aren't here any longer, but they were Geddes Hislop and Miss Wendy Dandy from the Cayman Turtle Center. And the discussion initially were about the turtlers from Cayman and their research into how amazing, resilient, and such a resolve, and given the nature of their work, how its position came on to be where it's at now. In that discussion, Geddes initially, came here from Trinidad and shared, as many of us have heard, that there's that connection with Cayman, the Bay Islands, Trinidad, Cuba. So much of Caymanians venturing globally, but even within the Caribbean. Now, it's interesting that, as I think we've garnered from what they shared, a lot of our history is there, but maybe we don't take enough time to research it and present it to not just our students in schools as we could, but even in their homes, And as people, whether we're Caymanians, however that's defined, or whether we're people here. And I think hopefully their presentation, many, whether it's a church, whether it's a PTA, whether it's a corporate group, whether it's a service club, that they'll take up the offer for the free presentation and become better informed about how Cayman and Caymanians sort of not just survive but thrive. As an example, it probably something that many today may have only learned for the first time. The Caymanian turtlers and the Musqueam Coast Indians, they got along famously well, and there was a strong camaraderie. So much so that we, from what I gathered and that they've shared as well in their discovery, we had a good working relationship, a strong friendship, and may have served as intermediaries, mediators, may have served as sometimes people who would be asked to intervene to say, see if you can help us in this respect to improve the relations in the region. A very, very interesting thing that I think maybe, whether consciously or otherwise, have been glossed over. I would be sad if it was deliberately sort of pushed to the margin, but if you don't know who you are and where you come from, then anybody can tell you any foolishness, huh?
Yes, sir. That's quite an interesting story. Definitely. I missed it, then I came on too late. Anyway, the connections, I know a lot about the Cayman Brac connections with Trinidad. We had Mr. Ronnie Tibbetts, late Ronnie Tibbetts, which was Mr. Bernard Tibbetts,
Yes,
Tibbetts
sir.
Enterprises brother. He worked up there for many years, and also the family of Foster. You had Captain Leon Foster from West End and his wife, Miss Effie. They were up there for many years, up around the Chaguaramas area, Point Fortin area. Captain Ira Bodin, which was my mother's uncle, he lived up there for many years before returning to Cayman Brac. It's dozens and dozens of people from Cayman Brac that actually lived and worked in Trinidad in the olden days. I mean, that's from 50 years plus, going up to a century ago, many of them. And the Chaguaramas area, that's where they have the big repair shipyard in Trinidad, where all the tugboats and supply ships, they've been passing here so often, going and coming from Chaguaramas to the States. They go up there to get repaired, and they attend into the oil rigs and all that. In fact, a very large, unusual ship is out to the north of Grand Cayman, now headed to Chaguaramas, and it's carrying steel pipes, thousands of feet of steel pipes on board for the oil wells in Trinidad and Guyana. They loaded that in Mobile, Alabama, and this ship has its own furnace and its own pipe laying factory on board. And they heat the pipe and coil it, soften it, and uncoil it and send it down into the oil well. And the pipes are joined together on board on its own welding factory on board the ship. So that's a unique ship named the Deep Blue to the north of Grand Cayman and coming up. It should be in sight around the Queens Highway there later this afternoon, passing by. That's quite an incredible ship to be passing by. Also, we have the third biggest tanker in the world to the north of Grand Cayman, going to pass Cayman Brac early tomorrow morning, going to China with 2 million barrels of Louisiana crude oil, not the light crude oil that comes from Texas, but the heavier grade from the Loop terminal going to China. So right now we have 5 ships approaching to pass off a spot, babe, from this afternoon until tomorrow morning. Also quite interesting, Cayman Islands talk about aggregate like Scott's developments, ships that to Grand Cayman. We have the biggest crushed rock ship in the world approaching Cayman Brac, passing this evening, but it's carrying coal for the power plant. I think Dominican Republic still has power plants that is run from coal, which is very highly polluted in the atmosphere. But
Mm-hmm.
this ship is loaded with coal from New Orleans going to the Dominican Republic, and it has its own self-unloader, conveyor, crane on deck that just takes the coal out of the cargo hold and offloads it onto the dock in Rio Jaina in the Dominican Republic, and then they load it and transport it to the power plants. And I would like to say a historic event that took place in Kingston Harbor just a few days ago. It was the first time in history that a mega container ship was alongside the dock, 1,200 feet long, and a refueling LNG tanker refueled it alongside the dock on the southern side of the Kingston Harbor. That was a historic event. Transshipping LNG cargo to power its engines. LNG powered ship, no diesel, no steam, just LNG powered, and the world is got about 700 ships now that is LNG powered. And you want to hear an interesting story? 5 months ago, used cooking oil was used in Europe to power one of the Stena bulk tankers. Methyl ether, the derivative from used cooking oil mixed with the ship's fuel oil, that is a biofuel. So with all the cooking oil that is being wasted or put to the dump in Grand Cayman and other places, Cayman Brac got some tanks storage with it as well. So this cooking oil now is being reused as a biofuel to power ships various places over the world.
Now, with all of the information that you have, Mr. Raymond, especially relative to the vessels that passed our shores and the Caymanians as we traverse the high seas, what was, to your mind, the most memorable or the thing that stands out most in your mind of maybe where we went and settled, maybe the things we accomplished?
The things for the Caymanian seamen,
yes, sir,
was their employment overseas to provide a living. They would go and risk their lives all over the world, even in the war zones, to provide a living livelihood for the family back in Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman, all three islands as a whole. That's the most significant thing that has ever occurred in honoring our seamen. That's why my utmost is to honor them as tributes with all the ships that I bring by to honor the seamen and their wives. And this is the most outstanding thing in my mind. The wives of all those seamen had to act as the father and mother to care and oversee and find food for all of those children, some of them remembering the late Miss Zena Scott, for example, in Scott Development's owner. I think she raised 8 children, 6 sons and 2 daughters, and her husband, Captain Clyde, was a seaman, going out to the Keys to collect bird eggs to take to Jamaica to sell. And he would carry a group of Cayman Brac men, paid him salary on that ship to collect thousands of bird eggs and box them and take them to Jamaica. So those ladies, our seafarers' wives, they are the ones that carried on the household, took care and did everything while the father was out at sea. No father around to bring up the children. So just think about that, the difficult times and the inconveniences they were provided by going in the forest up on the bluff, a lot of them in the Spot Bay district, and people came from the West End, would row in a boat from West End up to the Bluff Road to climb up on the bluff to go get baskets of bread kind and row back or scull back from Stake Bay Point, Jennifer Bay area like that to bring food home so the mother could cook. That would mean brothers and family members or sons. So to me, that's one of the most outstanding things there is. With
Mr. Raymond, if I may ask you, and you choose if you, we have two people who are asking for your telephone number. Do you want to say it on the air, or you just want to leave it?
Certainly. Yeah, no secrecy about that. I'm an emergency response person. Everybody needs to know my number in case whenever something happen out at sea.
Yes, sir.
Raymond. He'll get action to get you saved, no matter what hour of the night it is. Anyway, 927-7156. Raymond Scott, Shipping Traffic Advisor, Savior of the Seas, Maritime Safety Coordinator. I have those titles, but the government has never appointed me in any position to act my authority as I've been doing it. And you can go on Google, type in Shipping Advisor Cayman Brack or Raymond Scott, Cayman Brack stories. Numerous stories are on the internet where I have rescued people and the things that I have done around Cayman Brack in the maintaining of maritime traditions and maritime safety that has been carried out by me.
So it's 927-7156, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. I send it along, and thank you for sharing. But I think, it is, as you shared, a passion and an immense, gifting that you have with the languages, your ability to interact with passing ships, and your willingness to share, what you know with respect to saving the lives at sea. So I'm glad you can still do it and that you have, the willingness. We are at the end of the program, Mr. Raymond. Any final thoughts you want to share with us, sir?
Yes. Speaking about the languages quickly.
Yes, sir.
Several occasions where I have got a distress call from a boat or family members alerting me there's people in distress, and I called in English till I was tired and didn't get any answer. Soon I switched to Ukrainian language or Yugoslav language or one of those for attention, or even Korean language and Spanish, etc. Even Hindu as the Indian language. I get immediate response because they think I'm the same type of person and they want to hear some news from me being of the same breed or the same nationality. That's quite interesting. Anyway, what I need to be, and I'm still asking for it, for Raymond to be appointed into a position representing the Cayman Islands as the Maritime Safety Authority. I still continue to request that this be done, and I have many people that will be in full support of me for that to be done, so I can have providing things for me, things to provide rather than depending on my only income, the source of heavy equipment. I need to be actually paid for the maritime activities that I carry out and for the safety of our people in the Cayman Islands. All hours tonight, I'm available and I can be reached at any time. So that's one thing that I'm asking. And the next time I come on here, I'm going to have a verbal vote from the members of the public on the talk show. All those in favor, like in the government, say aye. All those in favor of Raymond being appointed by the Cayman Island government to act on behalf of the Maritime Safety Authority or Search and Rescue Coordinator. So on another day, we'll discuss that. Thanks a million, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir. And you are doing, an invaluable service, and I commend you for it. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon, Mr. Raymond.
Yeah, right. Thank you too.
You're most welcome.
To everyone.
And with that, we invite you to join Mr. Art tomorrow morning for the record. Get informed and engaged. Be part of the discussions. Come back for a talk today after the midday news. As we go about the community, let's find ways that we can build a stronger sense of unity and strengthen our resolve to work even more diligently as we serve each other in a very positive and productive way. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening